Department of Education. I work with all of our career and technical education high schools throughout New York City that offer programs within the building trades. Now, the fact that we are in April, one of the main concerns, or possibly the biggest concern that comes up with young people, especially 12th graders who are graduating in June, is what are my next steps? And we know that the narrative of college enrollment is pushed very, very heavily. But of course, not every single student will be going to college immediately after high school, right? Some may be going to college at a later time, maybe even years later. We know that there are a lot of young people who may be looking for employment opportunities. And there's a big question that comes up a lot of times, right? We spend 3 to 4 years teaching our students about electrical installation or plumbing or HVAC or carpentry or construction technology. And a lot of them are thinking, okay, now that I've learned these skills, what do I do next? So this is where Building Skills New York comes in. Some kids are going to go to college. Some, they may have enrolled in a union apprenticeship, but there's still another pathway out there for all of the other young people who are trying to find their way in the industry. I wanted to make sure that all of our career and technical education high schools were aware of this very, very valuable resource that we have. And I also sent out some emails as well. Many of you may have gotten emails from me already where I introduced to you the Building Skills New York team. And the purpose of this session is we want to make sure that you have an informed decision when it comes to the pathways that are ahead of you. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to David Mead and the Building Skills New York team. And once again, if you have any sort of questions or concerns, please feel free to utilize the chat box. This is a Zoom meeting, not a Zoom webinar, so you can feel free to unmute and ask your questions. You can feel free to turn the camera on. This is an interactive session. So any sort of questions you have, there are no stupid questions, there are no ignorant questions. We want to build this connection and this relationship with you guys. We want you to know that there are resources out there for the graduating seniors who are within New York City. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to my main man, Executive Director of the Building Skills New York organization, David Mead. Take it away, David.
Thank you so much, Gab. I really appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. Special thanks to Gab for putting this whole thing together really quickly. We called him relatively recently, and he's been a great advocate for our organization, what we do. And he quite quickly put this together. So I really appreciate him doing this, and of course, appreciate everybody who's on Zoom today joining us. Today, you'll hear a little bit from me. I am the executive director of the organization. In addition, you're going to hear from Calvin Edwards, who's our lead recruiter. Calvin does a great job getting out and finding a lot of talented folks that are looking for construction. Finally, you hear from Glenn Hilsen, who's our business services manager. And Glenn is really the person that's kind of built up our subcontractor network. And it's a daily thing. He's constantly on the phone with them and bringing in new opportunities and does a great job servicing our customer base of subcontractors. Also want to mention that Ariel Leva, who's our program administrator, is going to be running the PowerPoint for us today. I'm just going to really quickly, a couple quick comments here before I turn over to Calvin. Just say that, I think the hope for today is we're going to give a brief presentation. Want to open it up to any Q&A. But what I really want to happen is have individual connections with each of you after this. Down the line, we can set up our separate Zooms or separate calls to work with the individual schools, trainers, teachers, administrators. I think that's where we're really going to have a lot of value is the one-on-one engagement. And, we'll talk about the best ways that you can refer your students or your alumni, your graduates. We'll think through ways that we can come out and, see you guys, whether it's virtually or in person, see some of your students and talk about some of the opportunities that we see in real time in construction. So we're really excited about that. And really, we've got a lot of jobs. I mean, we're at a moment right now, knock on wood, where construction is really, really starting to heat up. And, the 4 years that I've been at the organization, it's probably the most amount of jobs we've had. And the challenge we're having, which we're going to detail, is trying to find the next generation of talent for some of these positions. So without further ado, Ariel, why don't we move to the next slide? Great. So building skills, I think some of you are familiar, and Gab gave a great intro, but just a really quick high level of who we are, how we work. We're a nonprofit organization. The mission of the group is to connect New York City residents to construction opportunities. We work all over the city. The organization was created about almost 10 years ago, a little more than 10 years ago, by leaders in affordable housing, by the real estate industry. So we do have deep connections to builders, to developers, to general contractors. I report to a board of directors. It's a leading group that are out there doing the buildings, that are creating the opportunities, and have large networks of subcontractors. So it's really a model that we have that kind of drives from the top, from our board of directors, which we're excited about. We've had a lot of success with the organization the past several years. Before I came on, and the team you're going to hear from, group was making about 40 construction placements a year. Fast forward to last year, even despite a pandemic, we made 360 construction placements. We're really proud of that. And over the past 4 years, this thing has really snowballed. We've ended up placing over 1,200 people into construction jobs. It's been a fast growth and a lot of good work. And I think that has really kind of come down to the model that we've developed. It really works in three ways. And from a very high level, we lean heavily on partners. We're a pretty small team, so it's really important that we have nonprofit, community-based organizations, groups all over the city that are able to refer us folks. It's really important that they're finding individuals that have the kind of the relevant safety training, that have a real interest in construction. So lean heavily on that. From there, we do recruitment sessions every Tuesday and Thursday morning. And they used to be in person, they're virtual now. We're hoping they go back to person at some point in the near future, but they start at 6:30 on the dot. We close the virtual Zoom door at 6:30. So we work construction hours, the team. It's an immediate expectation of our candidates that they're going to show up on time, be ready to go, which Calvin's going to talk a little bit more about in a minute. We're also not a place and forget organization. We are heavily invested in individuals' career pathways. We really are focused on their retention. Those first few days on a job, really the first couple of weeks, are critical. We're speaking with the candidates in real time. We're speaking with the employers in real time. It's important that we can troubleshoot and coach and mentor to make sure that there are no major issues that come up while a person's on a work site. The final way where I think we've had a lot of success and built up these placements, but had successful retention, is if and when a job ends. Some of our work is temporary. It's new construction, a job gets built. Sometimes a contractor will take that person on to the next job site. Maybe they'll take the person on more permanently, but more so they're part of the building skills program. So we're here as an ongoing resource to them. We really look at continuous employment for individuals. It's not only about keeping somebody employed, but really in many ways thinking about what their next opportunity is going to be after they've done maybe general labor, after they've worked the specific trade, they want to try something else. So the kind of the ongoing focus around case management and connection to those next jobs is really critical to us. Ariel will do the next slide. So I mentioned, retention is a huge part of what we do. About 75% of the people that we have placed in employment, they last 3 months or greater. We're really, really proud of that. We continue to build on those percentages. We're very focused on safety training. Many of you, I think on the Zoom call, will know that the city has rolled out over the past several years a variety of different safety training requirements, which is very important. And we were happy that they're doing that. Safety is the most important thing. But it's very confusing. It's very confusing. It was an OSHA 30 a few years ago. Now there's been a 40-hour requirement as of March 1st. So building skills plays a really critical role with our partners, but also with our participants to alleviate that confusion. What is the requirement? What's needed for a person to get onto a job site? And we facilitate. So we'll help folks get the site safety training. We've done over 100 safety trainings so far this year. And there's a pretty good chance that if we identify somebody for the 40 hours of training, that we can get them connected to a job. We actually, of the 110 that we've trained this year, we've placed already 70% of those folks into jobs. So that kind of commitment to safety is of critical importance to us. The other thing I would say is, and it's a next phase for the organization, we really are thinking about pathways for individuals, and we've been thinking about ways that we can get deeper dive skills training. There's obviously a lot of industry recognized credentials, which are great. The scaffold, the flagger, there's some FDNY certs, which are wonderful and can make a person more marketable. But we're also kind of trying to go to that next level. And we're going to more formally launch with some of our community college partners this summer, actually some deep dive NCCR, which I know you guys are familiar with that curriculum, training in electrical, plumbing, and HVAC this summer. So we're actually recruiting. We're going to have some scholarships. We'd be happy to talk to anybody more about that offline as we really ramp up our recruitment efforts. But I think that's going to be a critical next piece to what we do. It's folks are getting that really good on the job experience, but we're looking to see if we can couple that with some deeper dive, construction training. Not surprisingly, I mean, there's a worker shortage in construction. I think this was happening before the pandemic. I do think the pandemic has further exacerbated that. We're seeing an aging workforce. We've seen some folks do early retirement. We think this training piece is of critical importance. We think the work that you guys are all doing is of critical importance. There's going to be that next level of talent need for our subcontractor network. So that's, again, why we're so excited to be here today. Ariel, next slide. So final thing I'll say before I transition over to Kelvin is just to kind of emphasize again the importance of our workforce referral partners. So this is just a few of them. We coordinate with about 80 around the city, all kinds of different really excellent organizations that find us talented construction people. It's of critical importance. We are a small team, so we lean heavily on individual groups like this to help us find people. We'd love to, again, like one of the goals today is we're going to hope to have individual conversations with everybody afterwards, and ongoing in the weeks and months ahead. But we'd love to start to get some of the schools up on here too, and really work to get you up as part of our kind of our regular workforce referral network. We look forward to that. So without further ado, I will transition it over to Calvin Edwards. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, David. Yes, hi everybody. My name is Calvin Edwards. I'm the senior recruiter here at Building Skills, and just to talk to you about what I do in my role, I recruit people such as yourself. I work with a lot of organizations such as the ones mentioned in the Referral Partner Network slide, where I actually go out and actually find people who match the jobs that we're looking for currently. So I like to say myself as a matchmaker. I like to really find out about people, find out their qualifications and their skill sets, so we're able to basically see if we can place them. I love doing my job. I love helping people in their career, and just seeing how the construction industry has changed over the years. It's definitely been a very big plus for me, and it's very rewarding. So, helping people find jobs and helping them develop in their career is my main goal. But as David mentioned about our referral network, I work with a lot of community-based organizations in New York City, and they do offer skills and services for candidates, which could be job readiness classes, resume upgrades. We also have certain partners that do trainings for certain skills, such as roofing, solar panel installation, and other trades like electrical, plumbing, and HVAC. And also they offer certain certifications that might also be useful for a person's career, where it could be your OSHA 30 class or flagging or scaffolding. And they also have actually some cool things too. We also have a partner that focuses on wellness and meditation. So it also kind of helps also in your just personal development. But it's very important just to know that we have these type of organizations that you guys could be able to work with. All right, now you can go to the next slide for me. So really, this is about our expectations of our candidates. Because we are always looking for qualified people in different trades, we have to basically interview and speak with everyone. So usually our interview process starts where we actually do interviews every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 a.m. That's just done to basically get a feel of the overall construction industry, because if you didn't know, all of our work starts at 6:30 a.m. So that's definitely something that we want people to get adjusted to and prepared to. And during that process, you could expect us to kind of go over your work history, your experience, but also find out your career path as far as where you want to go with your career, because we're big on making sure people progress. We don't want to put you in a dead-end job. We're always looking for people to grow. So if you start as a general laborer, but you have ideas of if you want to be a carpenter in the future, we'll basically work with you to make sure that you're insured, to make sure you get into that position, and that you actually grow within your whole process. Also, part of just the overall expectations of working with us is that if you are hired through us, we do, as David mentioned, we do offer retention, where we like to follow up with our candidates and make sure, as I say, you're progressing. We do check-ins during your first week and also after your first month and further after. So it's really just making sure that you are keeping your word, you're doing a good job. Also, if there's anything additional that we can help you on, as far as any type of help that you might need on site or any type of problems, we're able to address that and give you that direct support. So it's really good to have that backing. Also, we do replacements, and because everybody knows construction can definitely come and go. We look to seek to get you in full-time permanent jobs, but say hypothetically things slow down, you could always come back and kind of work with us to basically find those next steps towards your career path. So that could be like, again, if you end a job on a Friday, we can have you working the next week, as long as we're just knowing what you're wanting to do, and basically when your start date ends. So as a whole, expectations with us is we definitely look for people to have great communication. We want people to have good follow-up, and just know that it's a working relationship with us. So it's like we're not charging for anything. So we definitely want to keep it to where we know that if you're going to work with us, that you understand that communication is very key. So that's usually our just overall expectations of our candidates, is just getting and to have that follow-up and be very engaged with us. It's very, very important. So if you go to the next slide, Ariel, for me. We're talking, here's other requirements, and I could definitely talk, just briefly about that. Definitely considering that most people on this call might be coming in as entry level. We do have, those minimum requirements that are good for people to come in to just understand. Usually it's for you just to have an updated resume. We want to know about your actual work history, where have you done previously. It doesn't have to be construction related, but if you have any transferable skills, such as like warehousing, industrial, if you have a background in architectural, you know how to read blueprints, things like that we want to know about. Also, we need to just have you to make sure you have a state ID. That's a requirement for for us to work with New York City residents, as long as you're from the 5 boroughs, that works. There's also other additional certifications in construction that you must have, such as OSHA 30 and the site safety training card. We do have our own, as I mentioned, the Referral Network, where you could go to them if you don't have those cards, where you're actually able to get those trainings for free. So just let us know, and we're able to help you with that. But like I said, the OSHA 30 and the site safety training is a requirement for all New York City construction workers to have. So if you don't have that, we'll definitely be able to kind of work with you on that. Also, another requirement is just having construction ready clothing, hard hat, work boots, jeans. Those are things that you would definitely want to make sure you have. As I mentioned earlier, if you don't have that, there are organizations that can help you obtain it, but just for your own personal safety and just for everyone's safety, you definitely need to have that prior to working. So if you have any issues with that, just let us know. And I think the most important thing too is being able to have the ability to work for 8 hours of physical work each day. It's very challenging. Our work is 6:30 to 3:30, and we expect you during that full time to be engaged and actively working. There's always something to do on a construction site, even if starting entry level. We always tell people just to help clean up and work behind other trades. So if that's sweeping the floors, taking out debris, garbage. If a carpenter's hanging sheetrock, you're holding the sheetrock while they drill it in the wall. Unloading trucks. But just knowing that it's physical the whole time. It's not something too overbearing, but it's definitely something that you have to be okay with putting the physical effort into it, because you do have breaks, but just in between that time, you're always expected to be physically active and working. Another thing that I can say is probably the most key thing for us is, as far as requirements, and it's not, I can say a requirement, but we look out of a person, is someone who has good soft skills that are able to work with others, be receptive, and show you have a willingness to learn. As David mentioned, there's definitely a gap as far as the workforce and how many people are currently working with certain skills. So a lot of our employers are open to actually training and teaching people different type of skills. So if you are willing to come in, say, you're starting as a laborer, but you want to grow and learn, we have a lot of employers that are willing to teach you electrical skills, HVAC, so you can learn on the job, get paid for it, and kind of develop, further your career. So always keep that in mind, that just having that good attitude, keeping that receptiveness and willingness to learn is probably very key for us. Also to mention is our upcoming events. As I mentioned earlier, we do interviews sessions every Tuesday and Thursday. That's via Zoom. How you could do it and attain it and get access to it is by applying on our website. Our website is www.buildingskillsny.org/job application. And if you're able to apply there, we're able to reach back out to you and schedule for either our next Tuesday or Thursday, or you're able to contact me directly, and we'll definitely share my email address. But definitely we'll be able to schedule for the next available day. But I will say as a whole, one of the great things of just working with Building Skills and just the benefits is that we offer fast track employment for all of our employees. We work with hundreds of different employers, from developers all the way down to the subcontractors. So we have a lot of access to jobs and availability. So coming to us, working with us, and we have work year round. So I think that is very key to just know that if you are looking for opportunities, you can, and you feel like you're job ready, you're ready to start, you can definitely come to us and we can help you with that. Also, as I mentioned about the retention services and follow-up, I think that's very key for us is that we want to, as I mentioned, we want to see that you grow and progress in your career. So if we see that you, like I said, want to get into a trade, we're going to push to get you into a training. Say if you want to be a certain position on a job site, but you need a certification, we're able to push you forward for that. Also, if there's any wage increases that you might be deserving at your milestones, we're able to kind of step in and talk with the employers to kind of make sure that you're basically being treated fairly and you have that support. So I think that's one of the key things with Building Skills. And as we also mentioned, with replacements, if you are placed on a job and things do slow down or the contract is over, work stop orders, there's a lot of different issues that could come up. We are able to step in and help place you on another opportunity. So always just keep that in mind, that having that communication and follow-up is very key for us. As I mentioned, yes, the additional services, trainings are very key for us too. So if you are looking to progress or just get into the construction industry, we are able to help you out and help any students out with getting certifications that they need to kind of go forward. And also I could say too is what comes for my part is that I do workshops. So being that you guys are in schools and you guys have different classes, I'm always able to come out and do a workshop with your students directly and speak to them in regards to the job opportunities, give them different pointers, expectations, but just overall just know what they're getting into. So if they are interested in interviewing, we can speak to them and bring them in for our next interview session, either on a Tuesday or a Thursday. So just always know that we have that support. And usually those are more and less informal, so people could ask certain questions, open it up really to really finding out what really Building Skills is about and how we can basically help them. So always consider that as an option. But as I mentioned, definitely our website is the best way to basically apply, but also just contacting us directly via email. And as I mentioned, we'll set you up for the next interview. So that's pretty much it for my part. I definitely look forward to speaking with everybody further. And as I mentioned, I'm the senior recruiter, so I'm going to be more likely the first point of contact. So definitely make sure you save my name, Calvin Edwards, and our email is there, but we'll probably share that a little later as far as our contact information too. So for that, I'll pass it off to our business service manager, Glenn Hilson. He's really great. He definitely tell us about what he does as well. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Calvin, and thank you, everyone. Again, my name is Glenn Hilson. I'm the Business Services Manager. My role here at Building Skills is I develop, create, maintain, and build our job pipeline. And typically, today I'm in the office right now, but typically early morning, I'm out at job sites. I'm in all the 5 boroughs. I visit construction sites. I attend subcontractor meetings, and I learn in real time what's happening out in the field, what job opportunities are available, what skill sets are required, what certifications subcontractors are looking for, what's the next step for candidates. So I can bring that back to our team. So I can bring it back to Calvin and our other recruiter, really do a great job in trying to find candidates that meet the needs of the jobs that I'm bringing back to the team. So this slide, I really like this slide because it really focuses on building skills success in the construction industry. And we measure success by job placements, job opportunities, and career pathways for our candidates. And our success really stems from our relationships with our customer. And who is our customer? It's the general contractor and subcontractor. And I have to say, in a short 3.5 years, Building Skills has really developed a vast network of contractors in the construction industry. I call upon over 100 different contractors, and we have 128 plus job sites that have been in our past and our current portfolio. So we are really busy. We have a pretty expansive network of job sites. Why have we grown so quickly? Um, Really, we listen to our customer. And we do a great job. Our Calvin does a great job, and our other recruiter. They really listen to our candidates, and the goal is really to find not only a great fit for the employer, but also a great fit for our candidates. We want to make sure that we're finding a job that this candidate is going to fit into, so that they can grow. Because really, if we think about it, you have to love what you do. So we want to make sure we're finding that job that they're really going to prosper in and really grow. And another reason why we're successful is because we work construction hours. Our days start before 6 a.m. We're here in the office. We're ready to go. Construction sites start at 7 a.m. And another reason why we've been so successful with our placements is because we're here as a resource for our candidates, especially on day one. We are here day one and week one. We really take the time and making sure that our candidates get to the job site, get to where they're going. And we're here actually navigating them and making sure that they meet the supervisor or the foreman that they're supposed to be meeting with. If you've ever been to a construction site, or the ones that we work on at least, are very large. And I've visited most, and I attend most of our, have been to most of our construction sites, and it's confusing. It's hard to find the entrance sometimes. It could be tucked away underneath a pedestrian bridge somewhere. So at least I can guide them. I can tell them what corner it's on. And if there's still confusion, I can contact the foreman or someone else that I know on the site, and just making sure that that candidate gets to where they're going. So we're really a valuable resource. And of course, if there's any issues on our customer side, which is the subcontractor, we're here to address those issues as well. Next slide, please, Ariel. So this slide looks at some of the job placements and how it breaks down for Building Skills. So as you can see, general labor jobs at 55% kind of leads the pack, but shortly right behind that is 44% of our placements have to do with the skilled trades. And the skilled trades are those that include the disciplines such as electrical, plumbing, carpentry, HVAC, just to name a few. But getting to the general labor jobs, as you can see, this is a good portion of some of the jobs that we're filling. This is a great entry point for the candidates that we want to meet today in your pipeline. These are the entry level jobs. So this is a perfect way for getting someone into a construction site, into the career, to get their jump start. And typically what they can expect, a general labor job would include material handling, unloading trucks, loading trucks, cleaning up on the job site, moving construction debris. And if you've been to a construction site, there is a lot of construction debris, from carpenters leaving the sheetrock, the electricians leaving excess wire. All this has to be cleaned up and make sure that the site is safe for everybody to work around. So this is a very important job. And another important job for general labor, and we often teach we like our new entrants to have a flagger certification. Now this is oftentimes opens the door for someone that just wants to get into the construction industry. Not that flagging in our business is a full-time job, but it's a critical job. So especially in the morning or whenever trucks are coming in, bringing the supplies, you need someone with a licensed flagger certification to handle the traffic, pedestrians, and also to keep the workers safe, to make sure that everyone's out of harm's way when the trucks are coming in. So this is a good way for somebody that doesn't have too much experience, just get their foot in the door. Now, moving to the other side, with the 44% of our placements in the skilled trades, this will be working with the disciplines, again, the electrical, plumbing, HVAC, just to name a few of those. But this number is on the rise, and it's going to continue to rise. And I foresee that our placements in the skilled trades are going to well surpass what's happening in the general labor. However, we are in a worker shortage, and that's why we're here today. We really want to start reaching out to young adults and letting them know that there's immediate job opportunities. So when you're graduating, there's an opportunity to jumpstart your career and to start working because the jobs are waiting for you. Um, Now let's just talk about a couple other things here. The reason why I feel like this, we've gotten to this deficit is, COVID did have a great impact on all of us. And I'm finding that, and I'm hearing from our employer network that a lot of they're more tenured and more mechanic level workers are just starting to hang up the tool belt a little earlier. Maybe they're taking their earlier retirement. This really drained a lot of us, but by them taking this well-deserved earlier retirement, it's really creating a deficit in our workforce. I'd have to say I started here about 3.5 years ago when I was calling on subcontractors. All I was hearing from everyone, send me someone with experience, send me a mechanic level. But I have to say, fast forward to today, their tune has really changed. What I'm hearing is, send me someone that we can train. This is the total opposite of what I started out here just short 3.5 years ago. They're willing to take a chance and really they realize that we're in a grave situation if we don't start teaching our workforce from the bottom up, because we're not going to have a workforce 10, 15 years from now if we don't start developing this pipeline of candidates. So they're ready to start training and upskilling their workers. So I have one electrical company that I call upon, and now they're calling on me. And just for this same exact instance, they're asking for entry level, which is so opposite of what I've heard in the past. They said, just send us someone that wants to work. We can make electricians out of these workers. So this is what we've become. One more example. I call on another electrical company, and I had the pleasure of going to their company a couple of weeks ago, and they hold interviews at 7 a.m. at their office every Friday. So I came in because I wanted to attend a couple of interviews and meet with my colleague there at the company. So in advance of doing the interviews, he was showing me the list of projects that they're currently working on. And I have to say, they're working on a lot of projects, and they have a staff of about 400 workers already in the field. But for this particular Friday, just to keep up with the pace of the work that they're already committed to, he was looking to hire about 40 people on that Friday. And when I was there was 10 people in the waiting room to be interviewed. And of those 10, 2 didn't have the required credentials with the site safety credentials to work on a construction site. So now we're looking at 8. So he's looking at a room of 8 potential candidates, but he's looking at his jobs that he's committed to. He needs about 40 people. So I just want to bring to your attention that these jobs are here, they're real, and these companies are willing to start looking at candidates just coming out into the field. Next slide, please, Ariel. Next slide, Ariel, please.
I think he's having some technical issues. He sent me a message.
Okay. So what the next slide is, it'll come up eventually. It's really our numbers, and it just shows you the growth that Building Skills, since we really revamped our model from 2017, went from, as far as placements, in 2017, we went from 125 placements. Fast forward to 2020, which was the pandemic year, almost tripled to 360. Now, if you think about it, that's basically we're placing one person in a job every single day of the year, including weekends and holidays. That's an amazing feat. But it's just because we are meeting the demand, and the demand exists. So you'll see on the slide when it eventually comes up those numbers. But in addition, we expect to even increase those numbers, but we can increase those numbers if we don't have the supply. And that's, again, why we're here today. And another thing on that slide is really just showing some of the skills training that Dave mentioned. That's really like the 2.0 version of our organization. We're really looking to focus on upskilling our talent. So the idea is we're looking to scholarship candidates, and we focus on candidates that we may have just given an opportunity in a general labor position. Now we want to transition them into the skills trade. So we take candidates that are proving themselves, doing good work on the general labor, and they have an interest in one of, say, plumbing or HVAC or electrical, and we get them into the NCCER training. And when they graduate, and even before they graduate, I can use that as a tool because I'm talking to subcontractors every day, and it really opens the door, and they're just thirsting for this, for candidates with this knowledge. So I can take someone from a general laborer position and then enter them into, say, a plumbing or an electrical company. And now their pathway is just, it's beyond, it's all up to them now. The sky's the limit for them. So that's really the goal of our 2.0 in building skills. You know, continuing with placements, of course, that drives the whole organization, but now taking those skills, upskilling our candidates to take them to the next level. And really, the industry demands it. The industry is demanding a more skilled pipeline. So this concludes my portion of today, but you know, again, we're looking forward to connecting because this demand is here. We have jobs, and we're trying to hopefully collaborate and work with all of your schools and your candidates. And, you know, for the students that college may not be the right direction for them right at this moment. So they're comfortable knowing that if they're good with their hands or if they have an interest in construction, we have a career pathway for them.
Thanks, Glenn. And just to close out, again, we really appreciate everybody's time today. Appreciate Gav setting it up. Obviously, we want to save any space for some questions. I know there were some questions in the chat, so we're here for a bit to answer anything that you guys want. I'm just going to harp on, like, really want to create individual connections with some of the folks on the virtual call today to get out to develop this specific referral network that Calvin talked about, to come out and, you know, meet with some of your students, meet with some of your graduates. You know, as Glenn mentioned, we are in a deficit. We need good, skilled people or young people that are looking to get their foot in the door in the industry. So just, again, appreciate the time, and are really looking forward to start connecting with some of the folks on the call more formally.
All right, great. Thank you so much. Do we have any questions? I saw one question in the chat box that was asking if a young person is not so sure which of the construction trades they should be pursuing, what advice do you have for that individual? Because we know that there's so many different trades. You have painting and HVAC and electrical. A young person, they can't make heads or tails. What do you suggest for somebody entry level at that stage?
Well, I would say for someone entry level, it's best that they start, and more than likely they would only probably be able to start as a general laborer. But as a general laborer, you work with every single trade. So as a project goes along, you would actually be able to get a chance to see how each trade works, the type of work they do. And because you'll be helping them, potentially you'll be doing minor things, like say if a plumber's coming in, they might need you to bring in some tools or carry pipes in. So you at least get a chance to feel how that works and the type of work they're doing. But it's always just best to kind of get on site. But in that situation, we could always direct you and kind of give you pointers as far as where your additional skill sets and what you might have had previously, and see if that's anything transferable.
Okay, great. Yeah. And again, for everyone else on the call, again, this is a Zoom meeting, so feel free to unmute if you have any questions or comments. Next question I wanted to pose to you guys is, let's say I'm 18 years old. I have my high school diploma. Is that all you need from me? Is there any other credentials you want to see me walking to the door with, or can you just accept me as I am? As long as I'm 18, I have my high school diploma, am I eligible for one of your jobs?
Yes, so the things you would need outside of that would be your ID and also your social security card. So we can still work with you and train you as far as that, but you don't. I see somebody asked about a GED. Yeah, education is not really the issue. It's really having the willingness. But if you do have any like formal training, like in a trade, that helps out. But it's really not just having that willingness to get in the door, but and also just being qualified to just work in the United States, because all of our work is on the book. So you would have to just show that for your I-9 paperwork. But outside of that, yes, we can still work with you.
Just adding one more point here, you would, the minimum criteria currently would be 40 hours of site safety training. So you would need your OSHA 30 and an additional 10 hours. And with that, we can get you onto a job.
All right, so to be clear, I saw this question pop up in the chat box. If I have my OSHA 30 construction credential already, what else do I need? Remember, as of a couple of years ago, you need to have the 40 hours, 40 hours. So Building Skills, they will refer you to one of their partners that can help you get that credential so that you can fulfill the 40 hours of required site safety training. All right. Lenny wants to know, how is this program different from the pre-apprenticeship programs out there? What's the reason to look into general labor versus trying to get into a union?
That's a really good question. Yeah. I mean, I think that building skills is one of many pathways for a person looking to get their foot in the door in construction. So, we oftentimes will have kind of immediate opportunities to get onto a job site, to work as a general laborer, as Kelvin said, maybe to work as a helper. We definitely typically source for contractors in the open shop sector. But we've had people that have worked a couple jobs for us that have found their way to pre-apprenticeships or to union positions, which of course we're always a huge fan of. So look at it as like this is another avenue, that a person could explore in terms of opportunity.
Right, and let me just supplement that, Dave, because the thing is, we have a few direct entry programs that we work with. For example, some of you on this call, you may be familiar with construction skills. Every year, that program only takes about 100 to 120 kids, more or less, right? So we have way more than that, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to the union apprenticeship opportunities. You may have like Local 3, once every 5 to 7 years, they may open up their books and they're recruiting, but if you don't make the cut that particular time, you're pretty much out of luck. So what do you then do with all the other kids who they didn't get into one of these direct entry programs, or they didn't they didn't enroll into college, or they're not interested in college, or they didn't get into one of these Department of Labor apprenticeship recruitment opportunities? Is that it for him? This is another opportunity for them. All right. So we want to make sure that you understand all the various pathways out there. A lot of times we're so hell bent on talking about college and union that we forget there are many, many other opportunities out there. So that's the point of building skills. You have the open shop opportunities, you have the union opportunities. So this is what you could direct your young people to if they are still looking for careers and they couldn't get into one of the direct entry programs. All right. So, I mean, I think that's pretty much a good way that you can frame the conversation whenever you're having with your kids. Somebody wants to ask, is it possible to do building skills as well as college?
I would say it depends on your school schedule. Majority of our work is Monday through Friday, 6:30 to 3 p.m., 3:30 p.m. So you have to be there on site and reliable. I would say at least for your first 90 days, you have to be on site. So if you're doing school online or after hours, that's fine. But if it will come into as a problem if it's during the day hours.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And Calvin, let me just add on to that. So I can't stress this enough. If you're somebody where you're thinking, you know what, I want to work, but I also want to go to college, do evening classes. That will satisfy this situation that you're in. Once you enroll into college as a freshman, make sure that if you want to work at the same time, make sure that you're doing evening classes from, I would say, 6 p.m. and up. That's what I did when I was in college. A bunch of my classes were from 6 p.m. onward, because you want to keep your daytime schedule free for your actual employer. The employer is not going to accommodate that schedule where you have classes Monday and Thursday, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Tuesday, Thursday, 9 a.m. to 11:30. I mean, that's way too difficult to work with. And the average employer is just not going to see that you are a good fit for the position. So if you do want to work and you do want to go to college, please do evening classes. All right, somebody else wants to know, after training, will we end up in the actual job?
Yes, yes. In general, I know for us, we like to put people in training only if we know that we're gonna, they're committed to actually working full time. Not to say that you still can't take training, but we really look for people who understand that these are, we're an employer in a sense, so we definitely are focused on placing people in full-time jobs, but we also are willing to train and get them up to speed. So yes, I would definitely say if you're looking to work, more than likely, and most of our trainings are also in the evenings, so you are still able to work during the daytime and take our trainings in evenings or the weekends.
I think that's a great point, Calvin. Yeah, I mean, think of us in many ways as like an employer. I mean, I use the word intermediary sometimes. So there's a lot of amazing training organizations out there in New York City, but we really occupy a unique space. I think because our board is composed of folks that are building all over the city, and we have this huge network of contractors that if somebody gets referred to us, Calvin finds somebody great, we refer them on that person on to Glenn. Glenn has a direct window right to that employer to get somebody connected. So we do occupy a bit of a unique space, almost as if we're that kind of intermediary or employer directly connected to positions.
All right. Someone wants to know, how do I get the job interview? What are my next steps? I'm interested. How do I get interviewed? What do I do next?
Yeah, so definitely, as I mentioned, you could definitely apply online on our website, and we'll call you to basically schedule for the next Tuesday or Thursday Zoom interview, just like this. Or you could just contact me and email me directly, and I'll reach out to you and get in contact with you. But really, just kind of having that first step as reaching out to us, and we'll kind of make sure that you have everything in line, and we'll vet you out so you're able to interview immediately.
All right, fantastic. All right, do we have any other questions? I know it's a Friday, people are rushing to start their weekend. Lisa says, do you have any programs or trainings that are open to high school students?
I would say not really. I mean, we are, 18 years of age. So it's somebody we definitely have had a lot of success recently where there's been some graduates from some of the CTE programs, been able to directly connect to jobs or other training opportunities. But yeah, it's more at that 18 years in age and up population. Not to say, and part of the reason we're here today too, is we do want to, like Glenn and Calvin have done, speak about the opportunities that are out there once you do graduate. So we want to make sure we are communicating that to the potential grads and those folks that are going to age into the working age. But yeah, that would be my answer. Is it is much more at the 18 and up that we're working with.
All right, I think those are all the questions. I guess we're all experiencing some Zoom fatigue. All right. All right, so again, Calvin, can you just drop your info in the chat box one more time and just drop the website as well? So I'm also going to drop the attendance link for today. So in case there are any other materials or resources that I need to follow up with, I will email you all. So make sure you fill out the attendance link. I'm actually going to drop it in the chat box one more time. And again, I just want to, okay, we do have one more question. How much do you get paid for full-time work?
That's a good question. It's a range. It's going to depend on, a whole bunch of things, what the person's skill set is, what trade they're interested in. But we do have a general floor, about 18 and up is what we typically are going to source for, but it can go quite a ways up from there. But again, oftentimes depending upon skills and experience.
Okay. And Glenn, you had mentioned earlier that you were seeking candidates who had the OSHA 30 and the site safety training, but what if I'm a candidate and I don't have those things?
We do have a lot of partners that offer that training. We also often facilitate the SST training. So we definitely, it's not a door closer, it's a door opener. So please, if they have that willingness to work, this is the career that they would like to pursue, we are here to help them get those safety credentials.
All right, so I can't emphasize that enough. I know the building skills team is like, hey, he's been asking that a bunch of times already. So the thing is, a lot of our schools, oftentimes they're unaware that such an opportunity exists where if a kid doesn't already have these credentials, they feel as if the doors are closed for them. So that's why these questions come up. So I wanted to reiterate, if your kids don't already have the OSHA, they don't already have the 40 hours of site safety training, please, if they are interested and willing and able to work, you can still have them apply for building skills. They have a network of partners that can take care of ensuring that these candidates get those credentials. All right. Robert Browns asks, what areas, I guess, Robert, what are you asking? What areas do you send workers? Are you asking about geographic areas? Robert, you can unmute if you're with us. I'm not quite sure of your question. What areas do we send workers?
Yes, what geographic locations? Like just New York City, all 5 boroughs? Like
Yes.
where, how
most
far is your range?
Sure, all of our projects are in the 5 boroughs,
Okay.
well, primarily Manhattan, Queens, Brooklyn, and Bronx. We have candidates that come from Staten Island. We don't have too many projects in Staten Island currently, but we do cover the 5 boroughs.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Would you guys have any openings in the Far Rockaway area, just out of curiosity?
We have so many opportunities in the Far Rockaways. We're working
Okay.
So many.
on very large projects, and we are in dire need of workers.
That's
Okay.
good to hear. That's where my school is.
Oh, wonderful. So we would love, I'm sure.
We should talk.
Yes,
Yep.
we should talk.
Yeah,
So much
okay,
in the Far Rockaway.
definitely.
Who, just so we, who, and it's quite a few people, who was that who has the school in?
Robert Brown,
Got it, Robert,
from
okay,
Rockaway Park High School.
great. All right, we'll be in touch, Robert, that's great.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Right, any other questions? Comments? Criticisms? Compliments? All right, thank you so much, Dave, Calvin, Glenn, really appreciate your time. Thank you to all the schools, the school staff, the students that have attended. Make sure that you filled out the attendance link before you go. Make sure you fill that out, okay? Because I want to keep in touch with you guys, and please feel free to follow up directly with the building skills team, all right? A lot of times throughout the school year, I hear the complaints, you know, what do we do with our kids after high school? This is what we are trying to do. We are trying to address those needs, all right? So please send your candidates to building skills and let us know if you have any additional questions. Thank you very much. This session has been recorded. I'm also going to send the recording out, and I'm going to hang around in case anybody wants to talk with me directly. Thank you again. Take care. Enjoy your week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Mr. Hilton and Mr. Mead, I'll be in touch. Thank you.